can focus on more of set dressing and composition. Does it make it more towards the level or design part rather than the environment art part?
Yeah, so this is like the higher level stuff. That's what we do mainly, higher level. Basically, like this is what I do, and even if I work, this is the art style that come out of me. So I will just stick to that. Hello everyone, welcome back to the Art Talks. Today we have Ashraf with us, who had some doubt and wanted to talk about it. So let's invite him. So how are you?
I'm good, thank you.
Good.
Thank
Yeah.
you for this, making some time.
So for starting, let's start with a little bit about yourself. Like, are you studying? You working?
Yeah,
How's it?
so I'm Ahraf Jrili. I am actually currently working as a VR game artist, pretty much for around 2 years now, 2 years and a half. And yeah,
Okay, awesome. Yeah. So it's just a normal question. Like, did you study before, or is you were self-taught?
oh yeah. Actually, my studies was not had nothing to do with anything with art in general.
Mhm.
I have a bachelor degree in statistics,
Hmm.
but I never found that that's something that's interesting to me.
Hmm.
So I'm always more attached to visual things.
Okay. Yeah, that
Yeah,
makes more creative than
yeah,
this book guy or text guy. Yeah, that makes
yeah.
sense. That makes sense. It's awesome that you finally found in there. But did you do any 3D related course or any multimedia related courses?
Actually, there was a traineeship, a VR traineeship here around me.
Hmm.
I took that. It was around 10 months.
Hmm.
It was like around 3 months of theory. You learn about VR and actually some learning in that 3 months, some learning in 3D and in development
Hmm.
for VR. 6 months was for for the final project.
That's nice. That's nice.
Yeah. So basically, it was dedicated for VR development, but I mainly was there just to learn about 3D. So
Yeah. That's awesome. So there's the general question in there, like, do you suggest going to school or suggest like upcoming artists to learn VR and related things by themselves from online?
uh, actually, I find that you can learn by yourself. You always can learn by yourself, like anything you want. But at the end, you'll always miss something, or you'll be so distracted. You won't be in the right path.
Hmm.
So you always need someone to guide you and to put you into to learn things.
Yeah, yeah. Because like that's where I also feel like, do you feel like this mentorship thing and what we are doing, talking to some professionals on LinkedIn, might help bridging that gap, right?
Yeah, of course.
Yeah. So that's wonderful.
Because
That's just
your
yeah.
journey by yourself is always confusing. You might think that you are on the right path, but you will find yourself confused and lost eventually.
Yeah, that's life, right? Like
Yeah.
so many things happen. You like you everything is going good, and suddenly COVID happens, and it's like what?
Yeah.
And layoff happens, and this life is
Yeah.
unpredictable in general. So you have to keep swimming. That's the one motto I feel. Just keep swimming,
Yeah.
basically. But yeah, again, yeah, thank you very much. That's awesome. So let's have fun. So what brings you here? Like, what is the main goal you wanted to ask? Get out of this.
The main thing for the mentorship is I want to know what I should focus on more
Hmm.
because I find myself like spending too much time on something that I was not planning to spend a lot of time on. Or during the period of projects, I scope a project for a short period, then I get lost into details, and then I get bored of that project, and then another inspiration comes in, and it's left behind.
Hmm. Yeah, that makes sense because sometimes when you don't have clear goals and you're not sure about things, it might happen. And sometimes we just start multiple projects we have
Yeah,
out of passion, and then we're not
yeah,
sure like how to finish them.
yeah.
It happens. And like I'm just curious, like you stumbled upon this thing, or you saw my post or something like that, then you reached to talk mate. how you reach to the top mate basically?
It was actually from I stumbled upon it from the boot camp.
Nice.
I saw the boot camp. I signed in, but like in the top mate page, I found that there is like the mentorship 101, and I'm mostly the kind of person who doesn't or shy to reach out to people directly. So I prefer like a one something a mentorship that can be that's paid, so I can yeah.
Yeah, that's wonderful. That's wonderful. Thank you for answering. That's wonderful. Like, so do you have some projects in progress now? And what the specific things which like that? I know that you get stuck in some things, but any specific part artistically or technically where you get stuck, you mainly need help with.
Okay, so basically every time there's I found I make the same mistakes, which first of all I overscope. I put a project for a month or 2 months, for example, but what I want to make is an open world or something. So this is the first problem that I have. The second, it's I don't know if it's just something that I'm doing, but I've never like I don't like to stick to a concept. So when I'm trying to make something, I always put something that can inspire me to make the environment. But at the end, I never have like something that I want to copy the same as the concept. So I think this is another problem that I have, which is not sticking to a concept. Another problem is composition. I think I don't or the planning in general, the planning and the composition is not something that I start with or have a clear thought from the beginning. I just start and I let things happen.
Yeah, yeah, that's actually, if I may say, it's not you, it's everyone. Like I was there also, like just like everything that inspire, like let's just jump in and start doing
That's
it
just yeah,
without even say thinking like you already have five things which are going on. At one point when I was in college, right? So
yeah,
so every all there was in the lab basically where all the student practice, right? So there every PC used to have a bunch of images. So if I'm waiting for someone, I have like 10, 15, 30 minutes, I will just start modeling that. So I had more projects on these all these PCs than on my personal computer. So I can totally
yeah,
relate to that. Like starting new things is just so much
yeah,
fun, and the adrenaline rush that you get out of this,
yeah,
is I can totally feel it. I'm also in the same thing,
yeah,
same bucket. And yeah, and then finishing up things could have two things in there. Like one, either you get bored, as you said, like you might get bored, like
yeah,
you initially liked it, but why you got bored also might be related to the same thing, that you are not sure how to finish it basically, right?
yeah.
So there is
Or
like
or you don't trust the end results.
yeah, so it took,
Yeah,
even if it takes something smaller, what I want to say is it takes time. And
yeah,
we always, like, it's not you, everybody, overestimate always. So don't blame, but I believe the most crucial part is like when we don't know how to do some things, it look beautiful on the concept and we feel like it will look really beautiful in 3D, but we're not sure about all the
yeah,
steps which will come in between, and that
yeah,
just prolong the length of the project, and also you know make us bored or disappointed in the output, because sometimes we are not even able to achieve the art quality in 3D that much, so which we make us disappointed. That's like, oh, it's not going as
yeah,
planned. But sometimes I felt like till 80% of the time it look ugly, but then suddenly you make some tweaks and it start to look nice. Like sometimes lighting
yeah,
play a really good role. Sometimes you make changes in texture, or sometimes you add something new to it to hide that ugliness which is bugging you, which really helps. So it's so I would say just focusing on that will might help us achieving our goal to concept art. So for the
yeah,
start with, I would say, like, just again, you pick what you are most passionate about, like some environment which you feel like, oh, you really want to make those, which are like mostly progress also, and you feel like this will portray what your passion is, right, in your portfolio. When you add it, that will showcase like
mm,
that's type of project you want to work on, and this is what your core skill is, and showcase that. Were you in the Q&A session?
No, actually, no.
Okay, no worries, no
I
worries.
watch.
So you can rewatch it. It's already in the YouTube. It will be in
Yeah,
the live section. You can watch it. So in that
yeah,
also I suggested like you don't have to make everything by yourself. That's one thing. So what you can do,
yeah,
you can use resources
yeah.
from
That's
internet. So which can so we focus on the main goal of making good composition in the scenes, good set dressing, and storytelling
yeah.
as an
Uh,
environment artist. Yep.
yeah. I want to ask you this actually. Is it like when you say that you can focus on more of set dressing and composition? Does it make it more towards the level or design part rather than the environment art part?
So there's a although it get to the level art part, but not to level design, because the level design is not
A
about
level design
making
is
beautiful
yeah,
things.
yeah, yeah, yeah,
So they are like more about narrative, basically,
yeah,
and the
yeah,
player progression, like how the player will
yeah,
interact with the world. So they are
yeah,
not about so the designer might put some boxes in there, and those boxes can mean something, anything. That could
yeah,
mean a rock, that could mean building, that could mean
yeah, yeah, yeah,
anything, right? So what that will be, that is us who makes that look beautiful, basically. That's our job.
yeah,
So by composition, by set dressing, I mean like focusing on big picture, right? So that's someone asked last time in the Q&A also, what is the difference between prop artist and environment artist, how a prop artist can become an environment artist. And they also asked like, what is the one thing, basically, one thought process is which can start
yeah,
making me an environment artist. So that's the one thing, is like looking at big picture. So as an environment artist, we don't care what debris is on the corner, what that prop is, that corner, as long as all the props in the thing, all the scenes and all the objects are blended or gel together, that they belong there, basically. That is enough. So that's what our main thing is. Like, so imagine we have bunch of props and designers give us a space. Okay, so the space might need something, like, so the as you see the dirt in the corner or the vegetation grown in the corner are larger assets. Like imagine we take a suitcase, right? And then a suitcase, on top of that we can put a coffee mug, basically, right? Or
mm,
sunglasses or a hat, right? Or that neck pillow. So we are placing that as a to tell a story that this is someone is going on a journey, right? By plane, probably. That's why they have a neck or something like that. Or maybe
yeah,
we put a beach hat next to them, that they are going to beach or something like that. Maybe put a sunscreen that they're going to somewhere sunny. So that type of thing, level designer will not put. That is us who is putting in there. So, and we if we have that prop, a prop artist usually make the props, and our point is to make a story. And where the suitcase will be, how it will be placed, is totally up to us. And
yeah,
and mostly like fast paced game and shooting game, it does not matter that much. We usually need to keep the area clear, so player can run around and shoot around. And but in the more story driven, art driven, like Last of Us, Uncharted, even God of War, so you have these unique areas. How stress, even composition is not just the picture composition, like rule of third or golden ratio, all those things. Composition is how the objects are placed also. Like the larger
yeah,
object is there, then there are smaller and medium scale objects are there, and it's building this harmony, that it do not look odd, that it do not belong there. So we set
yeah,
dress it in a way that it belongs there, so it should not look odd. So that storytelling, that composition, that set dressing, that is what we do as art. And surely it gets into that level art area, right? But it is a part of environment art, basically. So in a
okay,
larger chunk of my career, I was a world artist. So I was just making forest and paths and more organic and open world level. So
mm,
yeah, so where there we have to work with this level designers and define the player guidance. That so players should clearly know I need to go there. So as an environment artist, we can use leverage the props and assets and textures and even lights to guide a player. Okay, there you have to go. So
yeah,
sometimes, like, imagine you have an object, a cone, the traffic cone, and we fall it down toward the door, basically, where the player have to go. So the player look
mm,
at the cone and they say it's fallen down and directing towards something. then it lead the eye toward that area. So that's basically one technique to do that.
For an environment artist, for example, a portfolio of an environment artist based on what you described should be more driven into storytelling, set dressing, composition. Okay.
Yeah, so this is like like the higher level stuff. That's what we do mainly, higher level.
Mm.
And then there is asset creation, right? Asset creation is also part of environment art, but we don't create props, although we can create props because it's the same pipeline you have in there. But we'll create large scale props like buildings, modular stuff, bridges, ruins,
Mm.
castles, large scale stuff basically. So that comes
Yeah.
in environment. And as a prop artist, like most of the prop artists, they make unique props, right? But in environment, it comes in tileable textures, like in tileable textures, trim textures, right? Blending textures, so stuff like that. So it's more about optimization and reusing the same resources in there. So that's also a part asset creation. So that comes in there. But overall, on the level art and set dressing side, that's what our main goal is in the end, to look at the big picture. And it
Okay.
differs to studio, right? If you work in outsourcing studio, you will be mostly creating assets. So you will create props, you will create buildings, modular assets, textures, style, right? Rocks and trees, basically
Yeah.
assets you will be creating as an environment artist. But if you work in an in-house studio somewhere where they outsource all these props and assets, there you will be doing the set dressing mainly. You will not be
Okay.
creating assets. So you will take the assets, you set dress, you're gonna work with level designer, do that. So, but it slowly can get into there. But again, it differ to studio, and they might write it in description or they tell it in the interview basically what they need.
So you can take environments as more to leaning towards texturing, optimization, rather than actually creating the assets.
Yeah,
And
so yeah, so again, like the assets again, like the so we even character artists create props, right? So
yeah,
the assets and everything. Even environment artists create prop. The same
yeah,
pipeline is same, but mostly the in-house studios I worked on, there the props were not given. Like prop artist team is different, right? And level designers are different, and we are in between. We do set dressing and asset creation. If there will be like large scale things like buildings,
mm,
structures, biome related things like rocks, mountains, trees, stuff like that. So asset creation is also part of it, but we create different type of assets, and we mostly use tileable textures and trims. And we have to think about optimization side of things because we cannot create a castle with the unique textures, right? So it will
yeah,
be abomination.
yeah,
So we have to come with a creative output. And like, do we want to use blending materials? Do we want to use masks? Example, right? So that's like more shader techniques. So we
yeah,
that is already predefined by the higher up teams. So but we should be aware of it, and we have to create the assets accordingly, basically according to that. So that is the asset creation we do.
yeah,
And the second part of it is set dressing, level art, and that thing which I did mostly. And the path slowly traject toward that only. So you create small asset, then you create larger assets, then you create dioramas, then you start creating environments, and then slowly you become, responsible for the whole level.
yeah.
So design get you, and as you progress higher up in the career, once you become lead, then you're gonna split it into the junior artist basically, like that.
I just have some questions.
Yeah, sure.
Uh, I found myself also like jumping between styles.
Hmm.
Do you like prefer to stick to something for doing environment, doing
Hmm.
something similar, something, for example, urban type of environment, or for example, doing just sci-fi environment and
Hmm.
something that's close to that, or we can have like a variety of styles.
So this is a good question. Usually, I talked about this in a video also. There, like usually, what art style and asset type or environment type we work on is based on what we are working in studio, basically professionally, right?
Yeah,
It that defined it a lot. So I gave so many interviews at stylized studios. They asked the same thing: you don't have stylized in your portfolio. So I stopped giving because like, all the games I worked on were realistic, right?
Yeah.
But like the one art, not style, but genre which interested me a lot was medieval and fantasy, right? Which you will see in
Yeah.
my portfolio, right? In my personal work, you will see that, right?
Yeah.
And when I worked on my portfolio, it slowly start. Whenever I worked on it, whatever the concept it was, my final output looked like painterly fantasy and slight like fantasy, not stylized, but slight fantasy, right? So I
Yeah.
made that my basically genre, basically like this is what I do, and even if I work, this is the art style that come out of me, so I will just stick to that, right?
Yeah.
And
I
even
see.
though all the jobs I had, all the projects I worked on were realistic, right? It's not even matching my portfolio, so it's somehow I taken out my that urge to try something new in there. And urban I did not try because again I was doing it was not to my liking. You will see again it's medieval or fantasy. I tried that out of order in my portfolio. That is the only one which have interior and realistic architecture related. But there is nothing
Yeah.
else in there. But I love to. I have idea to make something like Last of Us or something like that, right? Where because I love foliage and the foliage I'm basically in is also dictated by the job, right? The job put me into the foliage. Then I started doing foliage, and everywhere I tried to focus myself into this organic environment, which I always love, right?
Mm.
So it's something like your portfolio dictates also like what you want to do. So I would say just stick to that. Try not so if I just keep doing foliage, gonna benefit me way more than if I try multiple stuff again, right? So I keep coming back to I want to make the full environment. I don't have, see I'm a foliage artist, but you won't see any forest in my portfolio. So
Yeah.
so so that's the thing. Like if I make forest and foliage, that are gonna benefit me way more than what I love to do. Basically, I love to do foliage, but I love to try something new also, right?
Yeah.
Because in my work, I'm making foliage all day. I want to
Yeah.
try something new. So something like that. So
I
it's
see.
a dilemma basically, which I shared in my dilemma video. Basically, it's a dilemma. Basically, what should I do? And I would say like let the work dictate. That will be the best thing because you already have experience. If you work by that, if you just push down your heart a bit and just work on the things similar to that, that's gonna help you double fold, and you might like it afterwards, something like
Yeah.
that.
Okay.
So and for the art style, I would suggest not to go too extreme opposite of your current art style or the projects you worked on. Because
Mm.
again, it's going to confuse the clients. You might get projects in the stylized because so many people are working on stylized. If you are working in realistic, so many people switch the art style also. It could be that your genuine thing. Like I'm tired of realistic, and you are getting so many opportunity as a stylized. So you make an environment or a props or a diorama in stylized sense just to get those projects, right? And then if
Yeah.
you keep getting those projects, then you slowly switch to that, something like that, right?
I see.
So yeah, so it's a trial and test. Like you cannot tell hardly
I
like
see.
if you will get project after that or not.
Okay.
Yeah, anything else?
Something that always I've been wondering if it's like necessary. If it's a must skill to have, which is sculpting.
It is good to have. Again, like if you're in asset creation, like
Okay.
it's been years I have opened ZBrush. So
Okay.
so because I work in set dressing and making the world basically, like all the assets are created already. So I place. It's not like I forgot how to use ZBrush. Like I know how to use it, how to get things done in when I need it. So when you do the asset creation, then it will be really helpful, right? In on the asset creation side of it, like when you need to create rocks, when you need to sculpt the bark, or when you need to create damage in some asset. So then it's really helpful on that side. Then I dream to work in Santa Monica studio, but I know it's difficult to get to US, so might not be possible. So they extensively use sculpting.
Yeah.
So they sculpt every detail in the even micro detail. So
Yeah.
if you have dream to apply to that type of studio, then sculpting is a must, right? So
I see.
so how I know it because I saw all the people who worked on God of War putting awesome sculpts in their portfolio. Even
Yeah.
in their personal work, I saw them making these high detail sculpts.
Yeah.
That brings me to again like whatever you work on dictates your personal work also. So this was Ivana and there was a few more guys I saw. Even their personal work was like just zebra sculpt,
Yeah. I
fully
see.
zebra sculpt. So that showcase that that's the one skill you need to have if you ever want to, dream to work on Santa Monica. So that differs for each studio, but it's a good to have skill. Like imagine you want to work on rocks, for example, sculpting is a must. If you want to work, if you like to work on medieval ruins and other stuff, sculpting is a must thing, right?
Yeah.
And for some cases for the texture creation also, so you can create, like, again it's get to that medieval thing, like you will have stones and rocks, and then you might have to sculpt, and then you need the sculpting skill for
Yeah.
that. So
Yeah,
so
I see.
so yeah, so it totally depends on which direction you're going on, but it's a good to have skill. It's better to have some, like the tool, and you can get a certain type of sculpt. But it's the when in my first job, we used to have every week we used to have a reference, like one day it will be rock, concrete, wood, and different type of objects we had to sculpt. So we had to
Okay.
get that look and feel from the sculpt. So that type of practice you can do to understand how to sculpt the wood, how to sculpt the stone, how to sculpt the broken pillar, concrete, because they broke a rock break in a separate way, different way, stone break in different way, concrete with the cemented and with the bars, iron bars, will break in a different way. So you have to get that look and feel in the sculpt. So that was a nice way to practice it. So you can also try that out, sculpting different surfaces, different type of details and damages also. Yeah. Yeah, sure. Yeah.
Thanks.
No worries. That's wonderful. Yeah. Again, yeah, thank you very much for doing this.
Thank you.
And I hope this
Yeah.
was helpful. And I'm looking forward to our mentorship sessions and what you create next. Right?
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
No
Yeah.
worries. Yeah. Take care.
Thank you.
And
Take
I will
care.
see you tomorrow. Bye.
Okay. Bye.